At the conception of this episode, we were in the wake of Kendrick Lamar dropping GNX, his 6th studio album. And now that I think about it, given my track record with putting videos together, this take will be fairly cold by the time it gets uploaded. I didn't listen to the album, and unless I get an inordinate amount of free time, I don't plan to. One particular buzz generator was Whacked Out Murals, where Kendrick spends 2 lines referring to Lil Wayne, which a few hip-hop outlets decided to blow completely out of proportion, which might possibly include Lil Wayne himself. The album also brought attention back to Kendrick's feud with Drake, which basically flooded my Facebook feed. Again, I was still teaching in San Angelo when the beef started in the first place, and I remember how stupid it felt. As with many things I cover in my videos, there's a history to diss records. While a lot of early hip-hop tracks were a celebration of black culture, the yang to that yin was the songs about the strife of African Americans and the economically disadvantaged. As hip-hop took on a more aggressive stance going into the 1980s, battle rapping was a common sight in New York City, the birthplace of the genre. Having more charisma, self-confidence, and impactful poetry than your opponents was vital to your rap reputation, an aspect of hip-hop culture known as braggadocio. It's this sort of swagger that butterfly affected its way into the history of music. In 1984, Marley Marl wanted to throw some serious shade at UTFO for canceling one of his shows. As luck would have it, 14-year-old battle rapper Lolita Shantae Gooden was waiting for her laundry to finish, and Marley invited her to rap a response to UTFO's Roxanne, Roxanne. It was called Roxanne's Revenge, and it was scathing. It kicked off a series of responses known as the Roxanne Wars, is considered to be one of the earliest beefs in the history of hip-hop, and opened up doors for women in what is usually a male-dominated genre. So I'm not here to deny the diss record's place in rap music history, and I'll even readily admit that a few of rap's best songs are disses, although I doubt I can share them on this channel. That said, genres change over time, and I don't think rap beefs are needed anymore. I'll start with the lowest hanging fruit. Some people still want to preserve the rugged gangster persona that a lot of rappers like to don. Other than the fact that this posturing is far from necessary, if acts like Pharrell, Soul Khan, and A Tribe Called Quest are any indication, even those with a rough upbringing will usually drop their hood tendencies once they become financially comfortable. And that's not me throwing shade, that's what they're supposed to do. The easiest example is probably Snoop Dogg. Once he started making money, he was shooting commercials, coaching youth football, and making cookbooks with Martha Stewart. Dr. Dre's first track after leaving NWA was written for the soundtrack of a feature film. So just think about the house that Drake lives in and how Kendrick picks up his kids at daycare, and the tough guy argument doesn't hold water. In the end, you have 2 grown adults, and in this case, point of emphasis, 2 men in their mid to late 30s, attacking each other with the same energy as 13-year-olds fighting over a pickup basketball game. But probably the most important thing to bring up is the amount of times that rappers either resolve their beef fairly quickly or regret the amount of time they wasted on it. Some of y'all are too young to remember Paul Wall and Chamillionaire's beef. You have to wonder what direction Texas hip-hop could have gone if they continued working together instead of squabbling. And while it seems like Eminem is willing to verbally spar with pretty much anyone, he got dragged into a beef between Ja Rule and 50 Cent after Mr. Jeffrey Atkins decided to bring up Eminem's then 7-year-old daughter, Haley. You don't do that. But if Eminem's 2004 track, Like Toy Soldiers, was anything to be believed, Marshall wasn't terribly happy with how things went down. But surely even my most fledgling viewers know a kernel of information about NWA and their beef. Ice Cube was the first to leave, feeling like he wasn't getting his fair share based on the amount of work that he contributed. A lot of mud was slung back and forth between the 2 projects, including one of the most iconic diss tracks of all time, which I'm not comfortable sharing here. Dr. Dre would depart afterward for similar reasons, forming Death Row Records. The label's 3rd single was a diss track aimed at Dre's former colleagues at Ruthless Records. Their former friends wouldn't reconcile until Eazy-E was succumbing to HIV/AIDS. Maybe it's the nihilist in me, but if rappers are simply going to regret the squabbles they get into and just patch up later, then what is the point? 2 questions probably remain. 1. Is there a place for targeted verbal aggression in hip-hop music? Absolutely. One of the most defining songs in the history of gangster rap has 4 young men from the Los Angeles area making their opinions on Californian law enforcement abundantly clear. Jump over to the East Coast, and I can just point to Public Enemy's discography and call it a day, but by the time I get to Arizona, it's one of my favorite rap songs. These are great examples of launching substantial criticisms at someone or something without getting bogged down in a music-driven spat. Still, we need to address number 2. Let's say 2 MCs have a dispute that can't be squashed like gentlemen. Fine, hold a rap battle. Pick the time, place, beat, and throw down. Whoever wins is the better rapper, and the issue dies right then and there. If the loser doesn't like the results, they battle again. But I have yet to see sanctioned rap battles where the bitterness extends beyond the battle itself. In the end, the matter can be squashed on that stage, not drawn out like the Hatfields and McCoys. I don't know if I've made the most coherent argument, but hopefully y'all get my point. Hip-hop itself has grown up, and I think it'll continue to do so. Part of it growing up should be dropping diss records, or at least de-emphasizing their importance. While we shouldn't forget the history of rap and the events that occur throughout, we also shouldn't be afraid to drop aspects of the genre that aren't needed anymore. Feel free to disagree in the comments. Until next time, peace.